No, it was just something that I put out there. I wonder if there is that anxiety with, like I said, the last few years, life has been tough and difficult and a bit frustrating. And maybe there is a little bit of anxiety with supporters and people coming into stadiums and back into that environment again. And so, yeah, and no, it was just a thought. It was just a thought. And based, obviously, I'd seen, obviously, the reaction to Graham and what he'd said as well. So, yeah, and obviously, a team that's doing very well. So, but like I said, I said before, for our supporters here, there's such a huge plus for us. And we've seen it in our last two games, how they really push the team, and absolutely brilliant. And that's what you want, because especially against some of the top teams, you're never going to have it all your own way, and the supporters can really push you and help you and make a huge difference. We've seen that against Legia, the European game that we needed to win, and we've seen it at the weekend. So yeah, it's something. It's just just a thought, but like I said, the passion in this country is amazing in the grounds, and like I said, we want it to be a positive one rather than something that becomes toxic and then can affect the players.
Is it something that you think has changed markedly since you've been a manager, that patience within all areas of football, not just from supporters, but within boardrooms and people who make the big decisions, that I don't know, again, maybe it might tally along with society, that patience is just a lot shorter than it used to be?
Not 150%. It's life, Rob, as much as football is just, like we've said it before, we've just seen it over the years, that patience, that little bit of common sense, maybe as well, that sometimes can be lost. I think that the clubs that are clear in their strategy and perspective, and they'll always stand strong. But certainly there's no doubt in life, like, as I said, you go into hospitals now and people don't want to be in waiting rooms. They want it straight away. So, but I think that's just life in general now. So, but listen, we're very fortunate. We work in a very privileged position as coaches and managers, where it's an amazing life we have working with young people, trying to teach them and coach them and make them better, and of course get results. And we won't always get it right, but I think, like I said, we want that support to players and to people. And I've always said it's the biggest shot in the arm you get in life, which is that encouragement, and something that our supporters are, in the main, are brilliant at.
Jamie Vardy was an absolute menace to Watford yesterday, levelled Ian Wright's record of the most Premier League goals after 30. Is there anything that you've done with Jamie, and anything that you see Jamie doing himself that has brought about this longevity and the fact he's still such a threat into his mid-30s?
No, it's all him. He clearly has the talent. He has the will. All we've tried to do is just manage him to maximise what we can get out of him. So, like you've seen him yesterday, his running, his intensity, and that's when he's at his best. And it's also when the team's at its best. It was interesting, Claudio, after talking about the hunger in the team and the mentality of our team to win the ball back, and that's when he's at his best and when we as a team are at our best. So, but for him, he's to enter into football when he has and have the numbers that he has, it's absolutely remarkable, and there's no sign of it stopping soon either, because he is looking after himself. He has everything here to help on his recovery and recuperation after games. He also has invested a lot of money into some of these items to have at home that helps him recover as well. So he's a brilliant professional, and he's trying to ensure that his career goes on for as long as it possibly can.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, Brendan. Obviously, we see people like Cristiano Ronaldo still fit as a fiddle and still playing at 36, heading into 37 in January. How long could Jamie go on for?
Well, again, it's just about, it's nature, of course, but it's having that luck with injury and health. But of course, that's something, a lot of it you can't control. Looking after your body, making sure you're prepared right. You look at Thiago Silva, guys like that, 37 years of age, I think he is, and how physically fit he is. As you said, some of the other guys playing at their ages, it's really about how you're going to look after your body. And of course, the players with that pace, sometimes it will disappear, as age, and that's life. But certainly at the moment, you see the cleverness in his runs. His run yesterday for the first goal was brilliant. Great pass through Matters. He knows where he's looking. And as I said, his sharpness and finishing will always be there. So yeah, it's great for me at the minute. I've been very, very lucky to have him and have that personality in my team. And hopefully that continues for a long time yet.
Just a final question from me then, Brendan. Does it feel like a great time of year to try and build on the momentum that you've had from the past week? It's 2 games a week now between now and January, isn't it? That suddenly you can surge up tables, you can get yourself through in 2 cup competitions. If you can strike hot now, it's a great time of year to do so.
Yeah, I just feel that the team is probably settling a little bit now. Beginning of the season with players that were missing, so we were then having to adapt the shape of our team to fit in with that, with the players missing, and try and adapt to that, a different structure. But I feel the balance in the team has been good in these last couple of games. Still areas where we can improve on. We given away a couple of penalties and maybe made mistakes, but in the main, it looks a lot more solid. And then on top of that, we've scored goals and looking creative and looking exciting going forward. So that's been the trademark of this team. That's been our signature as a group since we worked together, and I start to see that now. So really busy, intense period, like you say. Got to recover well. Can't do too much on the pitch, but lots of preparation in terms of giving the players the information, walking through tactical ideas, and and then get ready for the next game.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Brendan.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Okay, Naz Premji from Premier League.
Hi, Brendan. You okay?
Hi, Naz.
Brendan, just going on with one of Rob's questions there. Is it a credit to the strength and the adaptability of your squad? You had to make a late change in the Legia game with Johnny injured. You've managed the injuries and managed the schedule really well, haven't you, since the start of the season?
We've tried to. We've obviously set an expectation, Naz, which what we're held to, and obviously if you just drop below that standard, then of course you're accountable for that. But like I said, we're within touching distance of where we want to be, and that's a big credit to the players. Firstly, the spirit and that collective mentality that they have, because like I say, they want to keep improving, they want to keep developing, and that's something that, as I said, I think as the season goes on and we'll start to get some players back, we will then hopefully look to continue that progress. So yeah, I think it's the mentality of the players. They want to be better. The inconsistency, of course, at the beginning of the season has given us some disappointing results, but we've also had some very good performances and results. I think now we're focusing more on the process. Let's get our process right. Let's look at the fundamentals of our game, and then the scoreboard will take care of itself.
What are you made of Southampton? Of course, they had a really poor result at the weekend. But generally, Ralph's team have been doing okay up until that point, and they're going to provide a fairly stern test for you, aren't they?
Well, again, it's perspective, Nat. You just turned around and said that Southampton have had a really poor result. They're playing against one of the best teams in the world, who can cut open any team and who've got multi-talented players. So it's difficult when you're outside of those 2 or 3 teams that are on a different level, with all due respect. Then it's always a challenge. So for them, they've had some good results. They'll have felt that maybe could have had better results with a bit more luck or a bit better finishing. But it's always a tough game against Southampton. You really have to earn your right against them. So they get some young players, hungry players, looking to prove a point. Ralph's system is pretty much the same. He started to adapt a little bit this year, where playing in that 4-4-2 and then at times reverting to 3 within the games. So either way, we have to be ready, and we will be. We'll be ready for a tough game. But yeah, I think that they've got talented players that can cause you a problem.
I think you mentioned it earlier, James Maddison. I think he's had a terrific week, hasn't he? A couple of very, very good games. And is he getting back to where you want him to be?
Yeah, but I think in the last 4 or 5 games or so, he's shown that greater consistency, that efficiency in the games where he's creating goals, scoring goals. But it's a bit more than that. When you're a midfield player playing at the highest level, you're having to contribute without the ball as well. And that's something that is an important part of his game also. And that's also something that may not go so recognised, but he's starting to see that side of it. You have to press the game. You've got to be in good positions tactically. You've got to be able to run forward and run back. So all these things now are then allowing him to do the other side well, which is creating goals and scoring goals. And yeah, I've been delighted with him. And now it's about keeping that consistency and mentality, focus, and then keep taking that onto the field.
Brilliant. I'll leave it there. Thank you, Brendan.
Cheers, Naz. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Ian Abrams from TalkSport.
Thanks a lot. Hi, Brendan. How are you?
No, I'm very good, thanks. Thank you.
I'm expecting another 9-0, you know that.
Well, I'm pretty sure you won't get that, but we'll always do our very best to win.
This fixture, though, always reminds me of that. I mean, I guess it will from a great deal of people, and probably Ralph Hassan, who won't be sleeping very well ahead of it either.
No, I'm sure he'll sleep pretty well. Of course, it was an iconic night. It was a record-breaking scoreline. It was one of those nights where everything works well for you. I was delighted for the supporters because it was an awful night in terms of weather. So they had a long journey down there, and that gave them some joy. And like I said, we were ruthless on the night. So last season we weren't so ruthless. They went down to 10 men again, and we didn't quite play with the tempo and the rhythm and the urgency in the game until we went behind in the game. So yeah, but I think as I said, we'll be ready for tomorrow or for Wednesday. Sorry, we know it'll be a tough game, and we'll have to work well and play well to get the 3 points.
You're also out of fans, Brendan, and their reaction. I was at Brentford yesterday. Everton lost 1-0. Players went to say thanks for coming in to support us to the fans that travelled down, and got what I could say was a not so polite reception, similar to what Man United fans gave their players at Watford. We were all saying how important fans were during the battle against the European Super League and how we missed them when they were behind closed doors. Do you think they have a right to say what they feel, be it good or be it bad, about their team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think supporters, they pay hard-earned money. They work hard all week, some long shifts, and that only joy sometimes they get is from football. And of course, when they come to see their football team play, they want them to win, but ultimately they want them to represent them in the shirt. So when you don't win, naturally there is a frustration there, of course. But like I said, it's always about perspective. It all depends on what we're saying. I think that this is a nation and a country and the Premier League and throughout Britain where the passion for football and the support that we get is incredible. It's why everyone comes to this country. So coaches and managers won't always agree with it, but absolutely, supporters have that right. They pay hard-earned money to go and watch the team, and they can vent and they can give the team what they want. Of course, from a manager's perspective, you want them to give that support, because players on the field, that's what they need, the encouragement. They need that shot in the arm to keep them going, especially if the game's tough. In those moments when there's pressure in the game and you have to show resilience, having the support behind you, whether that's home or away, can really make the difference in getting over the line. So
I don't know if James Maddison's won fans over again, but certainly, as you've been saying, his form is right back up there. Do you think he's got still a chance of pushing those who are ahead of him in the England squad with the World Cup coming up in a year's time?
I don't think it's his focus, Ian. I think his focus was just returning to form for Leicester City. getting he's feeling good again, getting working again, and then when you see him at that level and that quality, then of course he's one of the top talents in the country. So, but consistently doing it between now and the end of the season, showing that mentality, having that determination, having that hunger, and he's keen after this little spell that he's had where it hasn't quite gone for him to really show that consistency and his mentality and work rate. And when you get that, you get a top player.
Finally, we've got a new manager in the ranks. We knew he was coming, Ralph Rangnick, to Manchester United. But what do you think he's going to bring in the next 6 months?
I think they've appointed a very experienced man in football, both in his role as a sporting director and as a coach. I don't know Ralph personally. I come across him when I was at Liverpool. We had a phone conversation, and then when I was at Celtic, I played against his Red Bull Leipzig team. So, but clearly, a very, very experienced guy who's very well thought of in the game, and he'll come in and offer that experience and that stability to the club, and then they'll assess it from there.
Okay, Owen from Radio Leicester.
Hi, Brendan. Hope you're okay. I wonder whether I could ask about any injury doubts ahead of the game tomorrow, and I was wondering about Youri Tielemans as well and how far away he might be at this stage. Yeah,
the squad will be pretty much similar to yesterday. Youri we'll see where he is at the back end of the week, but he's progressing really well. I've seen him out on the pitch with the rehabilitation team today, so he looked very strong, and so we'll just assess that as the week goes through, but it's probably going to be more towards the end of the week.
Okay, good. And I just wanted to ask about James Maddison too, because a few people have already mentioned him, but he's been praised a lot for his performance recently. But I wonder about how important the defensive side of his game is now and the continued improvement in it, that clearly he's doing it seemingly a lot more now.
Well, yeah, it's consistency. I think that's the key in it. I think that for a team like ourselves, we always have to work harder than the other team. And for us to get the results to show the talent. So it's how we play. It's our identity as a team to press hard and be really aggressive in the counter press. And then that allows us to hopefully create opportunities. And so that synchronization of the team is very important to the collective overall performance. So it's not just on one player, it's on the whole team. But if one player isn't doing it, then you're leaving the rest of your mates stuck. So that's something that's important for us as a team. Everyone has to be coordinated, and if one person doesn't do the job, then someone else somewhere else is having to run that bit harder. So attacking player, defensive player, doesn't matter. We all attack together, we all defend together.
On Southampton, we saw them maybe try and go and attack Liverpool on Saturday, and clearly came out on the wrong side of a brilliant team. But do you expect a similar game plan from them on Wednesday night, that sort of full force attacking football, or maybe a little bit reserved?
No, I think it's the intent of the team. I think they want to press the game. They want to be up and attack the opposition, and then within the game, if they have to manage it and change system, then Ralph will look to do that. So no, I think it's the intention of Southampton. Watching them over the last couple of seasons, they want to take on the burden of the game, like we do, and so it should make for a really good game.
A final one from me, Brendan. We're now into this flow of games, as Rob sort of said earlier, sort of 2 a week, sometimes every 3 days. How much of a strain is this going to be on the players physically and mentally? Because something you've said a couple of times before, obviously, about trying to rinse everything out from them in terms of quality-wise. How tough a period is this going to be between now and the new year?
Well, it is, I think, for lots of teams. It's the advantage of the squads, the elite squads, but it's something that we all have to cope with. So it's felt as if, taking the international breaks aside, it's felt like we've been we've been playing every few days anyway with the cup competitions and European football. So just now a continuation of that through until into January. So recovery is absolutely vital at this stage of the season, and then always just looking to the next game. So it's a great period, lots of games, recovering, and that's key over the course of this next 6 to 7 weeks.
Brendan, thank you very much, and good luck on Wednesday.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you.
Okay, folks, we'll end the broadcast section there.